Welcome to our channel, where stories come to life. Today, we invite you on a journey of unexpected revelations and social justice. Our tale revolves around a young waitress, Emma, who faces the contempt of a group of rude customers. What no one knows, however, is that she is actually the daughter of the restaurant's owner. How will this surprise twist change the dynamics of the evening? Stay tuned as we unravel the layers of this captivating story. Emma had always possessed an unwavering spirit, even on the busiest weekend nights at the Golden Fork, her family's beloved restaurant. She greeted every patron with a sincere smile. As she dashed from table to table, she balanced trays laden with steaming dishes and refreshing drinks like a seasoned performer on stage, delving into her mission of providing exceptional service. For Emma, the restaurant was not merely a job, it was a sanctuary of her dreams. However, on this particular evening, the atmosphere was thick with anticipation. The sounds of laughter echoed through the dining room, mingling with the fragrant aroma of sautéed garlic and herbs. Little did she know, trouble was brewing on the horizon as a party of 6 loud, brash customers entered, clad in designer clothes. Their air of entitlement was suffocating. Unbeknownst to Emma, this group would soon test her patience and resilience like never before. As she approached their table, confidence glistened in her eyes. "Good evening. Can I start you off with some drinks?" she asked, her voice steady. Yet the customers rolled their eyes, disregarding her presence as if she were an errant fly. One customer scoffed. "Does she even know how to take an order? Look at her. She's just a waitress." The biting remarks stung. Emma's heart raced. But she took a deep breath, reminding herself of her ambitions and dedication. In that moment, her focus sharpened. She vowed to prove her worth, even if it meant enduring the disdain of those who stood in her way. As their evening unfolded, neither Emma nor those rude customers could possibly foresee how the night would unveil unexpected truths and lessons that would forever change their lives. The warmth of compassion and understanding lingered just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to bloom. Emma woke up to the soft hues of dawn filtering through her bedroom window. The sun began to stretch across the sky, waking the world with gentle warmth. Today, like many others, would be filled with hard work and determination. With a deep breath, she pulled herself out of bed, fortified by a dream that whispered of culinary wonders yet to be explored. After quick morning rituals, she tossed on her crisp white apron, the fabric slightly stained from many shifts. But, to her, it was a badge of honor. She glanced in the mirror, fixing her hair in a neat bun, and reminded herself of her dreams. Emma aspired to be a chef, to bring her family's recipes to life in a way that captivated diners and transformed their meals into unforgettable experiences. But for now, her path lay within the bustling restaurant where she worked as a waitress, a stepping stone toward her aspirations. Upon arriving at the gourmet table, the family-owned restaurant that had been the heart and soul of her community, Emma could sense the familiar symphony of kitchen sounds bustling in the air, the clatter of pots, the sizzling of pans, and laughter shared among colleagues. She exchanged warm greetings with her co-workers, who each held their unique dreams and stories. They were more than just co-workers, they were a family, united by the challenge of serving customers and sharing the love of food. As the lunchtime rush approached, Emma moved with practiced precision, deftly balancing trays of food and drinks. She paid attention to the customers, learning their names and regular orders. A small act that made them feel valued. But beneath her unwavering smile lay an innate fatigue. The weight of the day's challenges often rested on her shoulders. With each order she took, she could not shake the feeling that some patrons viewed her as less than human, a mere servant. Not someone with aspirations or dreams. As the lunch hour settled in, the restaurant filled with a mix of families, professionals, and friends seeking a pleasant meal. It was during this peak moment that a raucous group of customers entered, laughing loudly and making their presence known. Emma felt a fleeting moment of unease as they took a table right in her section. Their brashness was palpable, and she prepared herself for whatever the day would throw at her, with a patronizing chuckle. One of the men in the group, dressed in expensive clothes, waved her over as if he were summoning a dog. "Hey you! Get us drinks! Hurry up!" he barked, as if her role in this bustling establishment defined her worth. Emma forced herself to take a deep breath, reinforcing her resolve to withstand whatever disrespect this group would hurl her way. The bell above the restaurant door jingled cheerfully as a group of 5 boisterous customers strode in, their loud laughter echoing against the walls. Emma looked up from her notepad, a small smile on her face. But her heart sank slightly as she observed their over-the-top confidence and boorish energy. Dressed in expensive suits, the men appeared to be enjoying an after-work night out. But their mannerisms quickly told another story. "Table for 5. Right here," one of them bellowed, making sure everyone within earshot could hear. The air shifted, and Emma could feel the mood dampen as her colleagues exchanged uneasy glances. They were no strangers to difficult patrons, but this group seemed particularly entitled, almost as if they considered the restaurant a playground where they could exert their power. Emma approached their table, determined to maintain her professionalism despite the knot forming in her stomach. "Good evening, gentlemen. Welcome to the Olive Branch. Can I start you off with some drinks?" Her tone was light, her smile unwavering. But within moments it became apparent that her efforts were met with mockery. Well, what have we here?" one of the customers sneered, eyeing her up and down. "I didn't know this place employed kindergartners. Are you sure you're old enough to be serving us? Or are you just doing this to earn some pocket money?" The laughter from his friends erupted, adding fuel to the fire of humiliation engulfing Emma. She forced a smile, silently reminding herself of her worth, her aspirations beyond the confines of the restaurant floor. As Emma took their drink orders, her hands trembled slightly, betraying her resolve. She could feel the heat of their disdain as they continued to ridicule her. "Why don't you run along and fetch our drinks faster? We don't have all night?" Another chimed in. "Maybe you'd be better suited for a fast food joint instead." Each derisive comment stung. But Emma pressed forward, the familiar ache of resentment clashing with her intrinsic desire to be seen as a capable and hard-working individual. Inside, she battled a whirlwind of emotions: anger, frustration, and the nagging feeling of self-doubt. Yet, she reminded herself that she was not defined by their scorn. Their condescending attitudes had more to do with their own insecurities than her abilities. As the banter continued, Emma focused on her work, serving their drinks with as much grace as she could muster. Every passing moment brought her closer to the feeling of validation she sought. Yet the sense of helplessness gnawed at her spirit. She watched the other diners around her, some casting sympathetic looks her way, and vowed silently to herself that she would not be deterred from her dreams. The stage was set for what would become the most eventful evening at the Olive Branch. As Emma's quiet strength began to resonate with her co-workers and some of the patrons witnessing this ongoing injustice, little did she know that her perseverance would soon result in an unexpected twist that no one in the restaurant could have anticipated. Emma moved with purpose, her order pad in hand as she approached the table where the group of rude customers sat. Their boisterous laughter roared through the restaurant, underscoring her small figure as she approached. Dressed in the usual white shirt and dark pants uniform, she smiled politely, hoping to diffuse the tension that lingered like a storm cloud over their table. "Good evening. How can I start you off today?" Emma's voice, although confident, betrayed a hint of nervousness. The group shifted their attention to her, the laughter subsiding as one of the men leaned back in his chair, an arrogant smirk plastered across his face. "Finally, a face we can actually look at while we order," he sneered, causing his companions to chuckle in agreement. Emma forced a smile, her heartbeat quickening. She felt the weight of their disdain settle upon her shoulders like a heavy cloak. But she tucked her feelings away, ingrained professionalism guiding her actions. She took their orders, trying her best to maintain her composure as they continued to hurl sarcastic remarks her way. "How about you take a few extra minutes to add some charm to that service?" Another woman chimed in, her eyes glinting with satisfaction at the verbal jab. With each mocking comment, Emma's spirit wavered, and uncertainty crept into her mind. But she knew she had to push through. As Emma walked away, her hands trembled slightly, and she took a deep breath, reminding herself why she was here. This job helped her support her family and pursue her dreams. No one had the right to take away her dignity. She reminded herself of how far she had come. The late nights spent studying culinary techniques, the endless trials in the kitchen at home, all for moments like this when she could one day showcase her talent. But the atmosphere turned sour once again when one of the men called her back, his tone dripping with contempt. "Hey! You missed my drink order. Can't you do anything right?" He waved his hand dismissively, chuckling as his friends joined in the laughter. In that moment, a flicker of anger ignited within Emma. She hesitated, her instinct urging her to respond. It felt unjust to remain silent while they continued belittling her. But before she could speak, she took a moment to collect herself. Being angry wouldn't rectify the situation, she thought. Instead, she focused on maintaining her professionalism. Their words could not define her worth. Yet, Emma's internal conflict amplified as she overheard their continued jeers. The churning in her stomach only intensified, pulling her gaze downwards. How much longer could she endure this treatment? But one thing was certain, she vowed to herself that she would not let their hostility break her spirit. As the clinking of glasses and murmurs of conversation filled the air, the atmosphere in the restaurant became palpable with tension. Emma, with her kind smile and tireless energy, moved from table to table, attended to her customers with a grace that belied her growing anxiety. The loud group at the corner, however, was a spectacle of rudeness and arrogance that made her heart sink. "Hey! Waitress! Over here!" one of the men shouted, his voice penetrating the peaceful rhythm of the restaurant. Emma sighed, knowing that her next few minutes would be filled with disdain. She approached their table with a notepad in hand, forcing a smile despite feeling a knot tightening in her stomach. "What's taking so long? Is our food made from scratch or what?" Another customer sneered, smirking as he leaned back in his chair. The others laughed, adding to the atmosphere of mockery. Emma felt a burn in her cheeks but held her ground. She recited the menu with practiced ease, hoping to deflect their attention away from her. "Can we get someone who can actually serve us?" one woman chimed in, tossing her hair back dramatically. Emma glanced at her co-workers, who exchanged looks of sympathy, knowing how difficult these customers were to handle. But she reminded herself of her intentions. This job meant so much to her. Not just for the paycheck, but for the dreams she aimed to fulfill. The evening wore on, and the group continued to target Emma, throwing rude comments and dismissive gestures her way. "You really should think about finding a real job," one man quipped, laughing heartily, as if he had told the funniest joke. Emma's heart raced at their cruelty, and the urge to retaliate bubbled within her. But she steadied herself, remembering her father's words, "Kindness is strength." Emma, with every callous remark, she summoned her professionalism, even as their words stirred a tempest of emotion inside her. Then it happened, the moment that would change everything. One of the men leaned closer, a repugnant grin on his face. "Why don't you show us some real service, darling? Maybe a little dance?" he jeered, his friends bursting into obnoxious laughter. This time, something shattered inside Emma. She stood rigid, frozen for a moment, grappling with the realization of what was happening. The laughter around her drowned out all rational thought, and the haze of humiliation wrapped around her like a suffocating blanket. But instead of crumbling, Emma found a spark of courage igniting within her. She took a deep breath, allowed her eyes to scan the restaurant filled with onlookers, some with expressions of disbelief and sympathy, while others ignored the commotion completely. She decided at that moment to stop being a silent victim. As she gathered her thoughts, a newfound strength surged through her. With unwavering resolve, she met the man's gaze, asserting her dignity. "I may be your waitress tonight," she said, her voice firm yet calm. "But that doesn't mean I'm less than you. Respect is something that should go both ways." What followed was a moment of charged silence, the laughter fading, as the group stared at her, stunned. In that heartbeat, Emma had not only reclaimed her worth but also stood as a beacon for every person who had ever faced disrespect. The turning point had arrived. Not just for Emma, but for everyone who shared her truth in that restaurant that night. As the atmosphere in the restaurant thickened with tension, Emma stood frozen at her service station, her heart pounding in her chest. The group of customers continued to hurl rude comments, laughing among themselves as if they were the kings of the dining hall. Each snide remark dug deeper into Emma's self-esteem. But she clenched her fists, determined to uphold her patience. She knew she had to rise above their petty insults. Her dignity was at stake. Then it happened. The loudest member of the group, a boisterous man with an inflated ego, leaned across the table and sneered. "Why don't you just go home and let someone who can actually serve do the job?" The cruel laughter of his companions rang in Emma's ears, echoing a painful reminder of the disrespect service workers often faced. In that moment, something inside her snapped. Just as she opened her mouth to respond, the double doors of the restaurant swung wide open, and a figure strode in with an air of authority, her father, the owner of the establishment. His presence was commanding, and a hush fell over the room as customers turned to catch a glimpse of the figure whose name hung proudly on the restaurant's sign. Emma's heart soared and sank simultaneously. She felt pride in her father but wished he hadn't had to witness such humiliation. As he made his way through the tables, His eyes narrowed on the unruly group that had tormented his daughter. The tension in the air was palpable. And the chatter of patrons faded into an uneasy silence. "Excuse me," he boomed, his voice steady and firm. "I think it's time we had a conversation about respect." The group exchanged glances, their confidence dwindling in the face of authority. Emma's father approached their table, standing tall, glaring at them as if to strip away their facades. "What you just displayed is not only disgraceful but completely unacceptable in my restaurant." The arrogant man started to stutter, his bravado crumbling. "I was just joking. It's all in good fun." Her father wasn't having it. "Joking at the expense of another's dignity is not good fun. You have insulted my daughter in front of all these patrons. And that won't be tolerated. I expect everyone in my restaurant to be treated with the utmost respect, no matter their role." In that moment, Emma felt a surge of strength. Her father's words resonated within her, echoing the values he had instilled in her throughout her life. This was not only a confrontation, it was a moment of empowerment. The group, now uncomfortable and visibly embarrassed, rose to leave, muttering excuses. Emma's heart fluttered as whispers of support spread throughout the restaurant. She had not only been defended but vindicated, marking a significant cultural push for equality and respect in the workplace. As they left the restaurant, her father turned to Emma, pride glistening in his eyes. "You didn't deserve that, Emma. Always remember your worth." This chapter ignited a newfound resolve in Emma, who knew that respect and dignity were not simply privileges, they were rights that everyone deserved. As the tension in the restaurant reached a boiling point, with the rude customers' demeaning words still hanging in the air, a hush fell over the room. Emma stood frozen, her heart racing, the sting of humiliation still sharp. Then, as if by providence, the restaurant's owner, her father, stepped into the fray. With a commanding presence, he surveyed the scene, his expression a mixture of disappointment and anger. His eyes locked onto the rabble of customers who had shown nothing but contempt for his daughter and the other staff. The atmosphere shifted immediately. The once brash group was now visibly uncomfortable under his piercing scrutiny. "What is going on here?" he asked, his voice steady yet filled with authority. The brash talkers shifted in their seats, their bravado faltering as they realized they had been caught in their disgraceful behavior. One of the customers, an individual who had been particularly vocal in his harassment of Emma, attempted to dismiss the incident. "We were just having a bit of fun. Don't take it too seriously," he scoffed. But the unease in his voice betrayed him. "Fun at the expense of my daughter and staff is not acceptable," he replied, his tone sharp and unyielding. "Everyone in this establishment deserves respect, from the kitchen to the front of the house. This is not just a restaurant, it's a family. And you have disrespected us all." The other customers seated nearby exchanged glances, a mix of surprise and admiration evident on their faces. They began to clap, their applause reverberating through the restaurant, creating an encouraging wave of support for Emma. Realizing the gravity of their actions, the rude customers squirmed in their seats, finding no way to escape the shame that had now come to light. Emma's father continued, "Your behavior reflects more about your character than it does about my staff. I suggest you leave now, and think long and hard about how you treat those who serve you." The group of customers, humbled and embarrassed, started to make their way to the exit. As they walked past Emma, the expressions of derision from earlier had vanished. replaced by shame. What they had indifferently overlooked was their own disrespect. Their actions had been abhorrent and unjustifiable. After they departed, the restaurant erupted in conversation, and a sense of relief washed over Emma. Her heart was now swelling not just with a fresh wave of dignity, but with appreciation for her father who had stood up for her. He approached Emma, embracing her tightly. "I'm proud of how you handled yourself tonight. You showed remarkable strength." Tears of gratitude filled Emma's eyes. "Thank you, Dad. I didn't want to let them get to me. But it was hard." He smiled gently. "You are stronger than you know. Always remember, no matter what anyone says, you have value. And you deserve respect." This pivotal moment not only served as a lesson for the rude customers, it sent ripples of change throughout the restaurant. Emma emerged empowered, realizing that her voice mattered. And she was ready to reclaim her dreams and advocate for herself, setting a tone of respect for all in the workplace. As the echoes of the confrontation faded and the rude customers were shown the door, a palpable shift swept through the restaurant. The table where Emma had been subjected to ridicule was now empty. But the sting of their words still lingered in the air. Emma stood, her heart racing, as she absorbed the weight of the moment. She had faced humiliation, yet she emerged with an unyielding resolve, one that would change her life forever. Her father, John, the owner of the restaurant, approached her, his expression a mixture of pride and concern. With gentle authority, he pulled her aside to the quiet corner of the bustling dining area. "Emma, I have watched you endure so much," he began, his voice steady and comforting. "You have shown a strength that not only inspires me but also sets an example for everyone here. You handled that situation with grace." Emma felt the heat rise to her cheeks, a blend of embarrassment and gratitude. "I just want to do my job, Dad." But those customers, they were so dismissive. It was hard to stand there and take it. "I understand," John replied. "But you must remember, you are not defined by others' judgment. You are talented, hardworking, and deserving of respect. Those who belittle the work of others often do so from a place of insecurity. You showed them that your spirit cannot be broken." The warmth of his words enveloped Emma, and for the first time that night, she felt a wave of confidence crash over her. She realized that her dreams of becoming a chef were not just whimsical fantasies but legitimate aspirations. With newfound clarity, she stated, "I want to start a special menu. I want to showcase my cooking, to show them that being a waitress isn't all I am." John's eyes sparkled with pride. "Then let's make it happen. This restaurant has always been about more than just food, it's about family, passion, and respect. If you want to create a special menu, I'll support you every step of the way." Eager and excited, Emma began to envision the dishes she wanted to create, each one infused with her personality and culture. She couldn't wait to coax the flavors from her family's recipes and share them with guests, allowing them to see behind her apron and experience her culinary talents. The next day, as Emma worked her shifts, the atmosphere transformed. Rather than feeling like merely a waitress, she felt a renewed vigor coursing through her veins. She began to interact more confidently with customers, engaging them in conversations about food. The regulars noticed the change. Emma no longer felt inferior, but rather emerged as a vibrant force in the restaurant. Businesses thrive on word of mouth, and soon, murmurs of Emma's new menu circulated among the community. Guests approached the restaurant not just for the familiar ambience but to support a talented young woman discovering her place in the culinary world. Emma found herself invigorated by their interest and encouragement and felt empowered to step into her identity beyond her uniform. In this realm of respect and ambition, Emma began to weave her story, a tale of overcoming disrespect and discrimination, revealing the importance of dignity and the power of pursuing one's dreams. As she flourished, Emma knew in her heart that this was just the beginning of a beautiful journey ahead. As Emma returned to her post after the confrontation with the rude customers, a sense of liberation washed over her. Gone were the feelings of humiliation and inadequacy that had plagued her throughout the night. She approached her tables with renewed energy, her spirit buoyed not just by her father's supportive words but also by the realization that she deserved respect just as much as anyone else. Word began to spread among the regular patrons of the restaurant. They had witnessed Emma's poise and grace under pressure and were impressed by her resilience. A few of them, who often came in for lunch, started to make a point of asking for her section when they arrived. This small shift filled Emma with a sense of validation. She was being seen for her hard work and talent. As she served her customers, Emma found joy in sharing her passion for food. She talked about the specials, describing the intricate flavors and techniques behind each dish. To her delight, patrons began to express genuine interest in her culinary insights. They engaged her in conversation, asking about her journey, her favorite recipes, and her dreams of becoming a chef. With each exchange, Emma learned to articulate her passion, weaving her aspirations into the fabric of her daily interactions. One afternoon, the restaurant was bustling with patrons enjoying their meals. Emma, now confidently portraying her authenticity, caught the attention of a food blogger who was having lunch with friends. Intrigued by Emma's enthusiasm and depth of knowledge, the blogger struck up a conversation, asking Emma for recommendations. Flattered, she took this opportunity to share her favorite dishes and the inspirations behind them. The blogger was captivated, and as they spoke, they recorded the interaction for their social media. Imagine if Emma's story could inspire others just like her, they mused aloud, projecting excitement to their followers. The video quickly garnered views, leading to an influx of customers eager to experience not only the restaurant's offerings but also Emma's remarkable spirit. Encouraged by this newfound recognition, Emma began organizing small cooking demonstrations on Sunday afternoons, one of her favorite ideas where she could engage directly with customers. Her father wholeheartedly supported the initiative, and soon enough, the trial run was a hit, drawing both regulars and newcomers alike. Emma shone in her role as a facilitator. She shared recipes, cooking tips, and anecdotes about her family's culinary heritage. Each event cultivated a warm and inclusive atmosphere, transforming the restaurant into a community hub where everyone felt valued. As patrons left, many expressed gratitude not only for the delicious food but for the stories Emma shared that made their dining experience memorable. Encouraged by the positive feedback and support from her father and newfound friends, Emma realized that she had begun to build not just a loyal customer base but also a sense of belonging in the very place that once seemed so unkind. As the evening brought its encore to a close, the atmosphere in the restaurant buzzed with an electric energy. Emma, once just a waitress rendering service, had transformed into a beacon of strength and resilience. In the wake of the confrontation with the rude customers, she felt a renewed sense of dignity that coursed through her veins. It wasn't just about the apology from her father or the dismissal of arrogant patrons, it was about reclaiming her self-worth and pride. Reflecting on the events, Emma found herself lost in thought. The walls of the restaurant echoed with the laughter of new customers who had come to appreciate both the culinary delights and the values of respect and kindness that now permeated the establishment. No longer a mere backdrop. She had actively reshaped her narrative from one of contempt to one of empowerment. During a quieter moment, Emma gathered her co-workers in the break room. "I want us to remember," she started, her voice steady, "that our work is vital and deserving of respect, no matter how small it may seem." Her colleagues nodded in agreement, having witnessed the transformation in their environment. Each of them had faced similar experiences of being belittled or overlooked. But Emma's bravery had inspired a collective resolve to champion respect in their workplace. As the night continued, a couple walked in, a couple who had witnessed the confrontation earlier. Approaching Emma, they offered their praises. "Your grace and professionalism were inspiring tonight," the woman said with a warm smile. "We'll always support businesses that treat their staff with dignity. You deserve a place at the table." Both literally and figuratively. Emma's heart swelled with gratitude. In the days that followed, word spread about the restaurant's new ethos. Emma took the opportunity to introduce her culinary creations during staff specials, earning her rightful recognition as an integral part of the team. She was no longer just the waitress, she was an artist. A visionary with a passion for food. One afternoon, her father placed a hand on her shoulder. A gesture of love and pride. "You've changed our restaurant for the better, Emma," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Remember? Respect begins at home. And you've shown us all what that looks like." As the camera panned across the bustling dining room filled with laughter and camaraderie, the essence of the story crystallized. True worth is defined not by profession, but by one's integrity, resilience, and the respect we afford one another. Emma's journey transcended her occupation, ultimately highlighting the importance of empathy and kindness in all aspects of life. Just like that, the story wrapped up with a strong message to the audience, to treat each person with respect. For we are all striving for the same dignity as we navigate our places in the world. As the credits rolled, viewers were left to ponder their own roles in reshaping social norms, one act of kindness at a time. Thank you for joining us in this journey. Remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more stories that inspire us to be better together. Until next time.